Recently, Shadow of the Colossus was free on PlayStation Plus. Now, I know it's a classic game. I've heard people say how it's one of the greatest games of all time, and although I don't necessarily agree, I also don't disagree. But this video isn't just me gushing about Shadow of the Colossus for the entire time. Okay, it kind of is, but I also wanted to talk about how much a seemingly simple game manages to accomplish so much. A game that doesn't feature traditional missions, yet has a strangely beautiful and emotional story. I don't know if I rank this among one of the greats, but I do love this game, and I think it deserves more love, at least in my circle of friends. Now, if you've never played Shadow of the Colossus, I highly recommend you do so before continuing with this video, because we will be getting into heavy spoiler territory. Without further ado, let us crack on. I want to start talking about the gameplay. You're going to notice a running theme in this video where I say something along the lines of, it's perfect because it's simple, a lot, and this is the first case. First, the basic controls. Beautiful. At first, firing arrows with R1 was a bit weird, but you'll soon get used to it and it becomes second nature. The climbing mechanic was also great, a little janky, but great. There's nothing more satisfying than reaching a Colossus head, just as your stamina drains. But apart from the basic controls, the mission-to-mission gameplay is sublime, at least to me. In its most basic form, the gameplay consists of riding around on Aro, occasionally holding up your sword to see where to go, climb some things, shimmy across other things, find Colossus, climb Colossus, stab them, move to the weak spot, stab again, rinse, repeat, but honestly, it's a lot more. Each Colossus is different and the path to them is always different. You'll constantly find yourself in new terrain, which varies things up a bit. And the Colossus themselves are their own puzzle. Like, I'd honestly consider Shadow of the Colossus to be a puzzle game in a similar vein to Uncharted. Sure, you're not aligning ancient artifacts to open up a door or something like that, but you have to study each Colossi and look for their climbing points and weak spots. Truly no two Colossi are the same, which makes each fight and encounter unique, fun, and engaging. For a game that's all about boss fights, they really nailed the boss fights, making them so much fun to play through, and all of them incredibly memorable. I want to take a quick detour for a moment and talk about a more recent game which I believe fails in the boss fight section. It honestly pains me to say this, but it's Spider-Man PS4. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this game so damn much. It's so much fun with an engaging story, and it genuinely made me re-fall in love with Spider-Man. But the boss fights are lackluster. Now you might be asking, Vitek, why are you comparing Spider-Man PS4 to Shadow of the Colossus? The two are nothing alike. Well, it's very simple. Immediately after finishing Spidey PS4 for like the third or fourth time, I started Shadow of the Colossus, so the lackluster boss fights were pushed front and center into my mind. Now, the Spidey boss fights was something I've always had a problem with since my first playthrough. Most of them boil down to either web up enemies, press triangle, punch, repeat about 3 times, or chuck a load of share enemies, press triangle, punch, repeat about 3 times. The only one to really break this mold is the Doc Ock boss fight, and even that sticks to the same basic formula. But this kind of boss design hurts the game, at least in my opinion. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're doing the same fight 8 or 9 times in one game, especially when you have so many varied enemies like Wilson Fisk, the Sinister Six, etc, etc. Now take Shadow of the Colossus. First fight is very simple. Climb the back of the leg, stab, climb to the head, stab, done. A simple way of introducing the mechanics of the game to a new player. Now the second Colossus. You go there expecting something very similar to the first fight. You revive and try to climb up the Colossus but can't seem to. Then it clicks. You shoot the feet and let it fall over. My point is, each fight builds on what the past one did, while incorporating what made it special and fun, making it unique and different, as well as giving the player a sense of accomplishment since they beat a different, harder fight. Not the same, slightly more challenging fight like in Spider-Man. Okay, I'm getting a wee bit ahead of myself here. I'm just going to take a moment and talk about my favourite and least favourite fights, and because I'm a positive bitch, we'll start with my favourite. Yes, apart from the final fight, which will have its own dedicated section, don't you worry, the third Colossus you fight is the best one. Yes, you heard that right, Tommy. Yeah, I'm Tommy, why the fuck were you saying that this third guy was hard?
I know what I really
why
like.
Why the fuck?
So,
this is the easiest one I've done so far.
It's not though now, is it?
He really is.
Basically makes Farron useless.
In my opinion, this fight has the perfect blend of challenge versus skill. What I mean by that is some fights in the game are too hard for the low skill level of the player, and others are too easy for when you're more experienced. But since it's the third fight of the game, it's in a nice sweet spot. You've defeated 2 of these Timorous beasties, so you feel confident going into this one, but you're still relatively inexperienced and don't quite know how to go about this whole thing yet. So, after riding from the Shrine of Worship through a chasm, you reach this kind of Colosseum type thing on a high platform that you need to get off Aro to get to. You climb up and up and up, and the Colossus awakens. As mentioned before, you have to wait for the Colossus to attack you, which is a nice change-up. You're on its turf, so you play by its rules. It'll attempt to strike you down with its weapon, so you'll have to dodge. Dodging isn't necessarily hard to do, but hard to time, especially this early on in the game, at least in my experience. If he hits you, a decent amount of your health goes, so you've got to be on your toes. Upon its third strike, its armor falls off, giving you the chance to climb up. From here, attacking and killing it is easy, but that's why I like this fight. From the beginning, it's somewhat challenging. Not overwhelmingly challenging, but for a new player, you're not quite sure what you're doing, and fuck-ups cause tension. And once you're on the Colossus, falling off again is a massive detriment, as you'll have to wait for it to strike before you can get on again. Remember, your stamina bar isn't that strong at this point, so you've got to use it sparingly. I think upon replaying the game, I might dislike this fight, seeing as I've beaten the game and I'm a semi-skilled player. My liking of this fight is for the expert blend of challenge and skill. It's not annoying, just fun. And you get this massive fuck yeah sense of accomplishment, seeing as this Colossus is bigger than the previous 2. You feel like a better player and a bigger badass for killing this beast. I love it. The same, unfortunately, can't be said for the next fight. This is the only fight in the game that I actively dislike. Like, I spent way too much time on it because of the poor level design and vague hints. Okay, some of it might have been on me, but you'll see what I mean when I get into the meat and veg of this. So right off that, I hate the fog. 9 times out of 10, fog in video games is bad. I mean, look at fucking Transit.
Tony, I just heard it inside.
But that's not it. Apart from the excellent design of the Colossus itself, there is nothing redeeming about this fight. You start off, like with many fights, not knowing what to do. You just kind of stand there shooting at it and running up to it. Now, for me at least, I ran towards the Colossus, who was in a cave. Once I was in there, the in-game hint mentioned something about the Earth, so I spent a ridiculous amount of time hiding behind giant rocks and shooting the roof of the cave, waiting for something to happen. Then, I spied a geyser. Now, I'm not sure if I'm just an idiot, but I did not see these geysers at all until then, due to the poor level design and the dreaded fog. Now, here comes the tedious and annoying part. You have to lead the big boy over to the geyser, wait for it to shoot higher, shoot the feet of the Colossus, then ride Aro, who by the way is clunky as shit in combat and in freedom, but is more noticeable in combat, and then climb onto the Colossus and stab its weak spots. Multiple fucking times. It's so fucking tedious, and I hate it so fucking much. Repetition in video games is fine. Annoying repetition is not. Honestly, the means of fighting, while bad, aren't inherently terrible, but it's the piss poor level design. I'm not gonna use fog, and the annoying wait time with the guys that takes the fucking cake. Oh, and did I mention the Colossus will constantly berate you with high damage energy attacks, because it berates you with high damage energy attacks.
Hi, you're being sent this video because someone wants to know what the fuck you were thinking.
Tedious and annoying and not fun in the slightest. In fact, I got so annoyed I logged off and stopped playing. Because fuck this fight. Fuck you, Colossus number 9. This fight is bad and you should feel bad. Okay, mini rant over. Sorry guys, I really love the game, but I hate this fight with a passion. It makes me mildly angry. Grr. Grr. The fuck did I fight Grr? Note to self, never write scripts at 4 AM again. Okay, I'm calm now. So, I've given the 9th Colossus some shit. Some deserved, some not. It's quite tedious and annoying and not fun to get onto the big boy. But once you get onto him, it does get more fun because, in truth, all the fights are fun, but one stands above the rest because it blends all the playstyles of all the previous fights into one seamless fight, which is engaging through to the end. I am of course talking about the final Colossus. So I'm going to talk about small plot stuff now, despite it not being the story section of the video. Cool? Cool. So, like normal, you leave the Shrine of Worship and follow the path until you come to a door. Inside you'll find a checkpoint and a bridge. You have to use Arlo to jump over the bridge and... wait. Look, I know we're going to be talking about the story later, but this honestly got me. Not as much as losing my horse in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Come on, brother. Let's go.
Give me a sec.
Come on. Push, Arthur.
Thank you.
Arthur!
But it got me all the same. I probably would have felt more upset if Arlo hadn't fucked me over in other boss fights, but this is still an emotional gut punch. Anyway, climb the wall and find the final Colossus. I love this Colossus because it incorporates every gameplay aspect that we've previously seen. Well, not Arlo. Okay, let's move on. So, you begin the fight by running away. You see, you're smart enough to know that this guy's too big and powerful to take head on, so you've got to be smart. You run through the tunnels and hide behind the walls to avoid his high power and high damage energy attacks. That is, until you make it to the feet. Once you get there, you have to climb the Colossus, and this is, in my opinion, the best climbing sequence of the game. It's simple while being challenging. It's quite beautiful how seamless the traversal up the Colossus is. Anyway, this Colossus, being the final one and all, has 4 different weak spots that you have to take down with both your sword and your bow. And let me tell you, they are not easy to get to. Most of your stamina is drained before you can even get there, meaning that you have to let go and pray the Colossus isn't doing Zumba at that precise moment in time. But do you know what? It's fine. If this was any other fight, I would have complained, but not this one. And you know why? Because this is the end. The magnum opus of the game, the boss of the game that's probably put the most time and effort into designing because it's the most important. This boss is why I can forgive the piss poor design of the 9th Colossus, because the devs are probably making sure that the final thing that you fight is the most challenging boss you faced, but also being one of the easiest. It takes a lot of time and effort to make a boss so good, so amazing, so well designed that the player feels both incredibly outmatched and amazingly well prepared. And it's all to do with its simplicity. The boss, this world, this game is beautiful because it's simple, and it's bloody fantastic. Anyway, you take out the final weak spot on the Colossus's head, but instead of being teleported back to the Shrine of Worship like every other time, we get treated to something different. Something unexpected. Something that changes how we see the game and our protagonist forever. So, the story of Shadow of the Colossus is a bit odd. The game doesn't have a traditional mission structure and therefore doesn't have a traditional way of telling its story, although it's a story that could only be done justice by the art form of video games. What I mean by this is all the stuff I'm going to explain won't mean a damn thing if we hadn't spent 6 to 8 hours playing the game, if we hadn't fallen off the same Colossus 8 times in a row, only to feel the absolute ecstasy of finally beating it. The story fully relies on the player's engagement in a way only accomplished by gaming because we are in the character's shoes, not watching it like a movie or a TV show. Now that that's out of the way, let's begin. So, the story begins with an unknown man travelling across multiple different forms of terrain known as the Forbidden Lands, until he finally reaches the ancient shrine. He goes deep into the bowels of this shrine and finds this table with a mysterious voice calling out to him. We'll call the voice the Light for now. The man takes down the blanketed object from his horse and reveals it to be a dead girl. The Light knows that the man wants to resurrect the girl, but says, then tells our protagonist that we need to revive a being called Dorman, who can bring her back if all the Colossi are defeated. The hunt is on. So you fight and kill, fight and kill, fight and kill, fight and kill, and every time you kill one of the Colossi, you get an, I don't know how to describe it, but imbued, injected, I don't know, but this black inky substance leaves the Colossus and injects itself into you, teleporting you back to the ancient shrine. From a gameplay perspective, it just increases your attack damage and your stamina, as well as making it so you don't have to track back to the shrine each time. But from a story perspective, there seemingly is no purpose until you beat the final Colossus. But we'll get to that in a bit. Anyway, after you defeat the 12th Colossus, once you're most of the way through, a trove of men and horses race their way towards the shrine of worship. Their goal, as of yet, is completely unclear. However, it's certain that it's linked to your slaying of the Colossi. Once more we press on, slaying Colossus upon Colossus until we finally kill the final one. Instead of being treated to a teleportation back to the shrine of worship, we reunite with the strangers on horseback as they enter the shrine. They look at the destroyed monuments, the monuments that represent the Colossi on the ground, broken and destroyed. They look on in horror, appalled. Something bad is going to happen. I can feel it. Now, at this point, I had this idea that the big twist would be that the Colossi were the good guys. Somehow they were the keepers of the peace, and by slaying them, I would have fundamentally changed the world for the worse. I thought these people were their protectors and that they would execute me for my crimes. But that's not it. We get teleported back to the shrine, but we're different. Our skin is darker and our eyes, our body, even our clothes are darker, juxtaposing the innocent girl who we're here to save. We learn that we were used by the Light. We were lied to and deceived by what appeared to be our ally. We've been possessed and corrupted by the spirits of the Colossi, our humanity gone and dead. The men look on in horror and disgust and do what is considered a mercy and kill us. But then this happens. Do you know what? I shed a tear. There aren't many games that have done that. These are the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
You were more than just my allies. My brothers in arms. You were my friends.
Let me think about it. Wherever I go, you know I'll be kicking ass.
You're gonna be okay, man. I've got the cure right here.
Take off your mask. I want to see my nephew.
You knew?
I've known for a while.
Sorry.
Wait! Let me go! Please.
You just come after her.
swear to me that everything that you said about the Fireflies is true?
I swear.
Okay.
And all of these I've spent a minimum of about 18 hours in, bar The Last of Us since it's shorter than the others. But I've spent literal days in the games with the characters, going from mission to mission and learning more about them and forming emotional bonds that have stayed with me for years in some cases. But that's not the case with Shadows of the Colossus. You see, I was only in the game for about 5 hours and 10 minutes before I finished it, which by the way makes me above average at the game. And you've got to remember that most of the story comes across in the first and last 20 minutes of the game. That's 40-ish minutes of character development and plot. But it's more than that. We've played as this guy, I like to call him Shiro, for about 6 hours believing in his cause. We've climbed each cliff, traversed each desert, slayed each colossi, and now we've resorted to this. A den of corruption and evil that, might I remind you, was brought upon by the noble desire to save an innocent's life. Shiro is a good person. He wanted to do the right thing, but he was taken advantage of and used. And now, he'll be remembered as an evil being who brought back the most powerful demon in the world, and not a man trying to save the woman he loved. But it doesn't end there. Revived, we contort and transform into a being of immense power, a being that had been split into 16 distinct entities in order to limit its power. You are now Dorman, and he is
the one and only original Harbinger of Doom.
Dorman, enraged by the attack by the humans, tries to kill them to exact his revenge on them for sealing him away for decades. However, they steal the ancient sword and escape, with the figurehead of the group, Emon, saying a prayer and tossing the sword back down to the bottom of the shrine. A portal opens up and starts to drag Dorman in. You strip back until you resemble the form of Shiro once more. Try as you might, defy as you must, you will be dragged back into the portal, defeated once more. Emon states that and then the game ends. But there's just a little bit more. Look, I'm sorry for putting so many fake outs, but what else do you expect me to do? Like carve on funny segues to next paragraphs? Well, you could fuck off. We go back to the shrine. It's quiet and desolate. No sound can be heard apart from the somber score. And then, the girl wakes up. Yeah, she's alive. Despite deceiving us, despite using us, Dorman was a man of his word. The girl is alive once more, unaware of the sacrifice Shiro gave to make that happen. She wakes and stands up, and then we hear a familiar sound. I'm not gonna lie, I made a squeal of excitement when Aro returned, because despite the fact that he's fucked me over a lot, I still loved him dearly. Unfortunately, he is injured, but he approaches the girl and they walk towards the stairs at the base of the shrine. But then they hear something odd. It's a baby. A baby is just crying. A baby with horns in the same position as Shiro. Shiro is alive, but not as we knew him. Now, the game doesn't really give us any definitive answers as to what this means, but my interpretation is quite simple. After being corrupted by Dorman, Shiro was given a second chance, a chance at redemption, a chance to atone for his past mistakes. But how did he become a child? I'm going to guess that it was part of Emon's prayer, but this is just my interpretation. If you've got anything better, then let me know in the comment section. Continuing on, Aro, Shiro, and the girl walk up the stairs to the top of the shrine, where they see a deer, as well as other animals and wildlife. With the girl's resurrection, life has been brought back to the Forbidden Lands. Its curse has gone, died with Dorman. It's truly a beautiful ending to the game. Yes, we lost. We died, we disrupted the balance of things. But in the end, life wins. Everyone gets a second chance, Shiro included. The story is simple in the way it's told, but complex in the way it's executed. So much is implied, but in a way that makes sense. It truly is beautiful. Shadow of the Colossus is one of the greatest games I've ever played. When I started playing it, I never thought I would make a video on it. I never thought I would like it. I thought I would just turn it off after the first couple of Colossi. But I'm really glad I stuck with it. This game truly is unique in the way it handles combat, traversal and story. In a day and age where AAA games are always trying to one-up each other by adding more and more complex features, with a 100-hour story with in-depth lore that takes you so long to understand and remember, Shadow of the Colossus is a great showcase of how you don't need to go over the top like that. It shows us what makes games unique and special. It shows us why we love games, and it shows us how a small story can have lasting emotional impact. It shows us the beautiful nature of video games in the simplest of ways. I love this game. It felt like a breath of fresh air in the gaming scene, and I hope that, even if you don't feel like playing it, you've gained a greater understanding of what makes this game beautiful. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. It's taken me a while to make, so I hope you enjoyed it. My next video should be another Doctor Who video, so keep a lookout for that. This has been a lot of fun, and if you like more game analysis, then just let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you want to see more of me, hit that subscribe button. And if you really want to see more of me, just follow me over on my Twitter @Supergit, which will be linked in the description. But that's all I have for you today, guys. Cheers for watching, and have a nice day.